Welcome to Between the Lines. We spend our time on this channel trying to slow things down, to look past the headlines and find the deeper logic behind what's happening in the world.
To find the why.
Exactly, the why. And if you appreciate that kind of calm, factual analysis, we just ask that you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us continue to do this work.
It does.
So, today's topic. Let's go back to August of 2019. I think everyone remembers the headlines. They were everywhere. The United States wanted to buy Greenland.
It was a story of the summer, yeah.
And the reaction was just immediate. It was ridiculed. It was turned into memes.
Late night hosts had a field day.
They really did. It felt like this surreal joke, like a real estate mogul trying to buy a hotel, but the hotel is the world's largest island.
And it wasn't for sale. It was treated as a diplomatic gaffe and a farce.
Right. But that's why we're here. Because if you stop laughing and you actually start digging into the sources, and we've got military strategy docs, historical archives, geological surveys, the joke stops being funny. It actually starts to look like a very crude, very loud statement of a cold strategic reality.
That's the perfect way to frame it. I mean, the delivery in 2019 was unconventional, to say the least.
A little blunt.
Very blunt. But the underlying logic, the logic was sound. This was never about real estate. It was about geometry.
Geometry on time. To understand this, we have to start by, throwing away the map that everyone has in their head.
The one on the classroom wall, the flat map.
The Mercator projection.
Exactly. The flat map trap. On that map, Greenland is just this giant, distorted white blob on the top edge of the world.
It looks remote, peripheral.
But generals and shipping magnates, they don't look at flat maps, they look at the globe. So you have to shift your perspective.
Hover over the North Pole and look straight down.
Precisely. And when you do that, when you look from the top down, Greenland isn't on the edge anymore, it's the bullseye.
This gets to something called the Great Circle Road. I think this is a bit counterintuitive for most of us. If you want to fly from, say, New York to Tokyo, you don't fly straight west.
No, that's a long way around. The shortest distance between 2 points on a sphere is an arc. It goes up over the top.
Like stretching a piece of string on a basketball.
Perfect analogy. And if you pull that string tight between North America and Eurasia, you'll find Greenland sitting right underneath it.
And during the Cold War, and frankly just as much today, that geometry is everything. Because we're not just talking about passenger jets, we're talking about ballistic missiles.
If a missile is launched from deep in Eurasia towards North America, it comes over the Arctic.
Right over Greenland.
It's the intercept point. It's the high ground.
And that explains why, despite the absolutely brutal conditions, the U.S. has maintained a massive presence there. I want to talk about Patuxent Space Base.
Which was formerly known as Thule Air Base.
Right. And for our listeners, you have to understand, this is not a comfortable place. It's less than 1,000 miles from the North Pole.
It's an incredibly hostile environment. Months of 24-hour darkness, wind chills where steel can just snap, a logistical nightmare.
And yet, we've poured billions into keeping it running. It's the bedrock of our early warning system.
Yeah, it is.
Let's talk about the tech there, because this isn't the radar you see in old movies, with the green sweeping line.
No, it's night and day. That old radar is mechanical. A dish has to physically spin. That makes it slow. It has blind spots.
And in modern warfare, slow is dead.
Exactly. What they have at Patuxent is a solid-state phased array radar. Imagine a massive wall the size of a building. It doesn't move.
No moving parts.
None. The face of it is made up of thousands of tiny transmitters. The computer can steer the beam electronically in microseconds. It can track 1,000 different objects at once.
So it can distinguish between real warheads and decoys, calculate trajectories, all of it, instantly.
Correct. It provides a level of fidelity that a spinning dish just can't match.
And the reason we put that giant wall of eyes in Greenland goes right back to that geometry. It's about buying time.
Strategic depth. That's the term. If your radar is in, say, Kansas, you don't see the threat until it's almost on top of you.
But by putting it way up at Patuxent, you're looking over the curve of the Earth. You're buying yourself, what, an extra 15 minutes?
About that, yeah.
And 15 minutes doesn't sound like a lot.
Yep.
But in the nuclear scenario, the difference between 15 and 30 minutes of warning is it's everything.
It's the difference between being able to verify a threat and launch your response or just watching it happen. That's what those 15 minutes buy you.
Which brings us back to the 2019 headline. It wasn't a whim. But here's the real kicker I found in the research. 2019 wasn't the first time.
No, not by a long shot.
You have to go all the way back to 1946.
Right.
World War II is over. The Truman administration is looking at the Soviet Union, and they come to the exact same conclusion. They offered Denmark $100 million for the island.
And that was in gold.
In gold bars. That detail,
Yeah.
it floored me. Not a bank transfer. Gold bullion.
It shows you how seriously they took it, how essential they believed it was.
They even talked about trading land in Alaska for it. You take this piece of the Arctic, we'll take that piece.
It just highlights that the strategic value is a constant. The technology changes, from bombers to hypersonic missiles, but the map doesn't. The shortest path is still the shortest path.
So if the logic is the same, why did 2019 cause such an uproar?
Well, the diplomatic approach was certainly distinct. But I think one of the analysts in our research put it perfectly. He called the 2019 comment a flare.
A flare. I like that.
Yeah, it was bright, it was crude, and it was jarring. But like a real flare, it lit up the landscape. It forced everyone to look at something they'd been ignoring.
And what that flare lit up wasn't just the radar base. It was what's under the ice.
The resources.
Rare earth elements. The reports say Greenland might have enough to satisfy a quarter of global demand. The things you need for electric cars, fighter jets, smartphones.
The potential is absolutely massive. The geology is clear on that. But this is another place where people can oversimplify. They hear resources and think problem solved.
Just because it's there doesn't mean you can get it.
Exactly. You're talking about mining through permafrost. There are no roads, no power grids, no deep water ports nearby. The engineering challenges are immense.
Not to mention the environmental costs.
Huge.
Yeah.
And then there's the other bottleneck. Even if you dig the ore out of the ground, where does it go for processing?
China.
Overwhelmingly. So if you mine the ore in Greenland, but still have to ship it to China to refine it, have you really secured your supply chain?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So the interest isn't necessarily about mining it today.
It's a strategy called denial. You don't have to own the minerals right now. You just have to make sure your adversary doesn't control them tomorrow.
And the adversaries are definitely showing up. China has declared itself a near-Arctic state.
Which is a fascinating choice of words, given that Beijing is about 900 miles from the Arctic Circle.
It's a bit of a stretch, but it signals their intent. And Russia.
Russia has the largest icebreaker fleet in the world by far. They see the melting ice not as a tragedy, but as a business opportunity.
The Arctic Highway.
Exactly. As the ice recedes, new shipping lanes open up. You can shave weeks off the trip from Asia to Europe. And if the Arctic is the new highway...
Greenland is sitting right at the entrance. It's the checkpoint. Which brings us to the final piece. The acronym that kept coming up in the naval reports. GIUK.
The GIUK gap. Greenland, Iceland, United Kingdom.
Connect those dots for us. Why is that imaginary line so important?
If you think of the North Atlantic as a room, the GIUK gap is the doorway. During the Cold War, for the Soviet Northern Fleet to get out and threaten supply lines to Europe, their submarines had to pass through that gap.
It's a choke point.
It is the choke point.
Yeah.
The North Atlantic Treaty Organization spent decades wiring that sea floor with sensors to listen for them.
And Greenland is the western post of that gate.
It is. If you lose influence over Greenland, that door swings wide open. The Atlantic stops being a secure body of water.
It becomes contested. And that changes the entire security picture for the east coast of the United States.
For everyone, the quiet zone is over. For centuries, the ice was a natural barrier, a wall. Now that barrier is becoming a bridge.
A bridge. Wow. So the 2019 story. It was never about a real estate deal. It was about position, presence, and balance. About a superpower realizing its northern flank is becoming exposed.
Geography is patient. It waits for you to notice it, and the world is noticing the Arctic again.
Well, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one thought. We talked a lot about the surface today. Ice, radar, ships. But for our next deep dive, we're going deeper.
Literally deeper.
We're going to the bottom of the ocean to look at the hidden nervous system of our modern world. Undersea data cables. Almost all of the internet travels through cables the size of a garden hose laid on the seafloor.
And most people have no idea.
What happens when someone decides to cut the cord? You won't want to miss that one.
It's going to be an eye-opener.
Until then, remember, watch the water, not just the waves.
Thanks for listening.